What's going on, guys? I got another interesting thing that's going to prove that 3I Atlas, the object that's coming into our orbit very soon in the next couple days, is not a natural object, not a comet, not an asteroid. It actually might be an artificial object created by some artificial intelligence or some otherwise natural intelligence. So I'm going to read this. It's going to be not too long. But if you would, just listen to the sound of my voice as I read this out to you, because this is a data leak from a researcher that's researching from NASA, the data that's coming out of NASA, and their job is to collate all the data and make sense of it. And this person is saying unequivocally that 3I Atlas is not a naturally occurring object, that it is artificial, are created artificially by some intelligent species. So here we go. I am a PhD researcher working with the European Space Agency with ongoing access to the combined observational data for 3I Atlas. For months, I have been part of a formal working group that has tried and failed to reconcile this object's behavior with any known class of natural celestial body. The official position is that 3I Atlas is a uniquely active but otherwise natural comet. This position is no longer tenable, and the silence from leadership on the cognitive dissonance this requires is becoming a serious professional issue for a growing number of us. So he's saying basically that there's no way that this is a natural object. It feels like a mistake in the data until you've checked it 100 times with all the available instruments. The object is venting about 150 kilograms of gas and dust every single second. We see it, yet it does nothing. It's like watching a howitzer fire a shell with absolutely zero recoil or smoke or bang. It's a constant violent event with no consequences, and that is a disgusting violation of basic physics. Basically what he's saying is that this thing is venting gas, but it's not messing with its own trajectory. In space, that's how we move a spacecraft. We vent gas over one side of it to turn it in its orbit or to manipulate its angle of attack. And this thing is venting 150 kilograms of gas every second. That is a massive ejection. Yet it's not manipulating the movement of this object at all. It's staying stationary. The only way the physics works is if the object has the mass of a small moon crammed into the space no more than 2 to 3 kilometers across. The lower models give us a limit of 33 billion tons, which just creates a second worse problem. Finding a effing mountain on an interstellar trajectory is statistically impossible. So what he's saying is basically, and I'll show you guys a video in just a minute that will explain everything, a really amazing video that I found, and we'll go through some of the key points, is that this object is 43 kilometers across. Now, an object that size, he says, is statistically impossible for us to have found. We should have found 1 million, and he says 1 million objects smaller before we find an object 43 kilometers across. So statistically, to see an object this early in our observational history is statistically impossible. And I will show you a video that will explain that a little bit more. Our surveys have only just started. To find an object this massive this soon means the galaxy isn't just dotted with debris, it's swarming with them. The models are wrong by a factor of 10,000. Our entire picture of what gets ejected from solar systems is fundamentally, grotesquely flawed. Or this object isn't debris at all. And that is the quiet and terrifying conclusion we are being discouraged from discussing. So this guy is saying, and I'll leave this here so you can read the full thing. I'm not going to go through all of it, but I will leave the link below so that you guys can check it out. This guy goes into detail about how this thing is absolutely not some artificial or some naturally occurring debris that's flying through space. So if you guys even have a scientific mind, or if you don't, there'll be things in here that you can understand. But this thing is absolutely not naturally occurring. Even the scientists are saying this. Now, I'm going to go down through this video in just a second, but I want to show you guys something. Something very, very interesting. As we can see here, this is the only picture that we have that's really from any person that's not with the government. This picture right here. This is in front of Mars. As it passed through Mars, through Mars's orbit, we got a picture of it from a civilian. This is the only civilian picture that you can really find. Anything else is from the government, and the government shows us some object that looks exactly like an asteroid. As you can see, this thing looks like a triangle shape. Now, why is that important? Why is it important that every object that we see from NASA or from the government shows some naturally occurring shape of every other comet that we've ever seen? Yet, this object right here that was filmed with a civilian telescope, one of the most powerful civilian telescopes that we have from some normal guy that posted it, and it shows a triangle shape. Why is that important? Because, as we can see, NASA is officially offline at the most critical moment in the observation of object 3I Atlas. So right when, and I'll show you in the video why this is important, because, for example, we have one of the greatest, most technologically advanced cameras orbiting Mars right now that could easily taken a picture of it and posted it onto this website, and they would have done that if this object was a natural object. But obviously this object is probably not a naturally occurring object. And so it's convenient that the government shutdown of the United States government at this time is extremely convenient. And that just means that this website is now not being updated. So now we can't see the object that's coming towards us. Now, why is that a significant thing? Well, it's also significant because while all the other government agencies have been shut down, NASA and the research going on with 3I Atlas has not shut down in the least bit. In fact, the government influxed money towards it at this critical time to make sure it stays up and running. Yet they shut down all the websites that go out to civilian communications like YouTube or their websites or anything like that that show actual pictures of this thing as it's approaching. So the government shuts down, yet makes sure to continue to give money and funding to NASA to make sure that they continue to research 3I Atlas and take pictures of it. Yet they shut down the website, pretty much the only website in the world that we can see pictures directly from these NASA agencies that are taking pictures of it. So let's go through this video here, and I will also leave a link to this video. It's 42 minutes long, but we're not going to go through all of it. I'm just going to go through the highlights. So now let's take a look at this video here. It's 42 minutes. I'm not going to go through all the video. I'm just going to go through the most important parts of the video so I can explain to you all the critical points that make 3I Atlas not naturally occurring, that it is more likely an artificial spacecraft. Now, one of the leading theories that a lot of scientists are talking about is that if aliens were going to visit us and they needed a giant spacecraft, they wouldn't make the spacecraft. They would hijack a passing comet. And this is big enough. This is 43 miles across. It's like, could be a tiny, tiny moon size. And use that and use propulsion on that to traject it towards whatever destination it wanted to go towards. So let's go through this video, and I think you guys will find this extremely compelling.
And its unusual behavior pattern continues to challenge our understanding of typical interstellar objects. The gas plume surrounding 3I Atlas reveals another striking anomaly that sets it apart from all known comets in our solar system. In typical comets, the gas plume or coma is dominated by water vapor, which makes up the majority of the volatile material that sublimates as the comet approaches the sun. However, spectroscopic analysis of 3I Atlas reveals a completely inverted composition. The gas plume is dominated by carbon dioxide, making up an unprecedented 95% of the total gas content. This composition is completely unprecedented among known comets. Water, which typically dominates comet gas plumes, represents only 5% of the total gas content in 3I Atlas. To understand the significance of this anomaly, we need to examine how gas plumes form around comets as they approach the Sun. The CO2 dominance in 3I Atlas suggests either an unusual formation environment or a different composition altogether. This ratio has never been observed in any solar system comet. This extreme CO2 dominance adds another layer to the growing list of anomalies surrounding 3I Atlas.
So basically, this thing is emitting gas that we've never seen. We've seen it before, but it's emitting gas in a way. Its composition is completely different than anything we have ever seen in recorded history. Let's move on to the next interesting anomaly.
On data, scientists have inferred that 3I Atlas has a diameter of 46 kilometers. This is an enormous size for an interstellar object, far exceeding what we typically observe. To understand how massive this makes 3 Atlas, we need to compare it with the previous interstellar object, 2I Borisov. The mass of a spherical object scales with the cube of its diameter, making size differences extremely significant. The mass difference is staggering. Since mass scales with volume, and volume scales with the cube of diameter, 3I Atlas would be approximately 1 million times more massive than 2I Borisov. This enormous mass difference has profound implications for our understanding of interstellar objects. Such a large object should be extremely rare, making its detection statistically improbable. The size discrepancy also raises questions about the object's composition and structure. A 46-kilometer diameter object with the observed chemical signatures presents a puzzle that challenges our current understanding of both natural comet formations.
So basically, out of things that are 46 kilometers across, there's going to be a billion trillion comets that are 1 kilometer across surrounding it and coming into our solar system. Something 46 kilometers across should have never survived the journey or survived the time to travel through space. It should have collided with other particles and dust that broke it apart a long time ago into 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers across. So something this size to come this close, intact, is almost statistically impossible. 0% chance that something this size to survive that long of journey without being broken apart by colliding with other objects on its way is almost impossible.
Is one of several anomalies that make this object truly unprecedented in our astronomical observations. One of the most puzzling aspects of 3I Atlas is what we don't see, a prominent cometary tail. For an object with a proposed diameter of 46 kilometers, basic physics predicts we should observe a spectacular dust tail streaming behind it. When a comet approaches the Sun, solar heating causes ice and other materials to sublimate, creating a dense coma of gas and dust around the nucleus. For a 46-kilometer object, this coma would need to be extremely dense to reflect enough sunlight to make the object visible from Earth. Solar radiation pressure acts on these dust particles like a cosmic wind. Photons from the Sun carry momentum, and when they strike dust grains, they push them away from the Sun, creating the characteristic cometary tail that always points away from our star. The physics is straightforward. Larger objects require more dust to reflect sufficient sunlight, and more dust means a more prominent tail. A 46-kilometer nucleus should produce a spectacular, easily observable tail stretching millions of kilometers behind the object. However, when the Hubble Space Telescope turned its powerful cameras toward 3I Atlas, astronomers were surprised by what they didn't find. Despite extensive observations, no prominent cometary tail was detected, a finding that contradicts expectations for such a large object. This absence of a prominent tail creates a significant puzzle. Either the proposed 46-kilometer diameter is incorrect, or 3I Atlas is composed of materials that behave very differently from typical cometary substances. The missing tail adds another layer to the growing list of anomalies surrounding this mysterious interstellar visitor.
So basically, this thing is ejecting 150 kilos of gas every second. However, that gas is not disturbing the trajectory. Like I said, if you have a spacecraft and you eject gas off the side of the spacecraft, it will spin the spacecraft or turn its trajectory, because anything in space is easily moved by even the tiniest gas venting from one side of it or one end of it. This thing is venting 150 kilos of gas a second, a giant ejection of gas. Yet it's not moving one bit off of its trajectory, which it should, absolutely. It should be spinning, or it should be turning, or it should be moving in some different way because of the ejection of the gas. The other thing is, it has absolutely no comet tail. Zero comet tail. As you see here, something that's 46 kilometers across should have a comet tail that's millions of kilometers long. Like Halley's Comet. You see Halley's Comet, you see that giant tail behind it, because the sun's radiation and the sun's energy is pushing the particles back off of it into like a million kilometers of a tail. Well, that's not happening here, which means that this thing is made of something that we've never observed in our entire human history.
Of 3I Atlas reveals one of its most intriguing characteristics, a precise alignment with the ecliptic plane of our solar system's planets. The ecliptic plane is the flat disk containing the orbits of all major planets. This plane represents only about 7 degrees of the entire three-dimensional space around our Sun, making precise alignment statistically unlikely for random objects. Here we see a simplified view of our solar system's ecliptic plane. The trajectory of 3 Atlas shows remarkable alignment with this plane, passing through the inner solar system with precision that suggests intentional targeting rather than random chance. If 3I Atlas originated from the Oort cloud, approximately 2,000 astronomical units from our Sun, its journey would have taken roughly 100,000 years. This means the object would have begun its journey around the 1920s, coinciding remarkably with humanity's first radio transmissions. The statistical implications are striking. The probability of random alignment with the ecliptic plane is less than 1%. When combined with the timing correlation to Earth's radio emissions, the likelihood of these being mere coincidences becomes vanishingly small.
What are the scientists telling us, guys? They're telling us that it is following the ecliptic plane. You know how all the planets are spinning around the sun on a plane? Yeah? Well, this thing is following that ecliptic plane. It should be coming from the top, from the bottom, from the side. It should be coming from all angles, but it's following the exact ecliptic plane, which is extremely less than 1% chance that could happen. The other thing is that if this thing is traveling at the speed it's traveling, which is it's traveling at faster than any object that we've ever seen. This thing is traveling faster than any object we have ever seen coming at us. And it's bigger than anything we've ever seen coming towards us. And that, if you do the mathematical equation, this thing could have originated from the Oort cloud around the time that we started to eject radio signals from our planet. What does that mean? It means that as soon as we started having radio broadcasts back in the 1920s, all over the world, those radio frequencies were being ejected out into space, which means that they're saying that it coincides with something hearing us, hearing our radio waves, and then sending something to go find out what was ejecting those radio waves. Exactly what we would do. We would hear something, and then if we had the technology, we would send something out like a probe to go find out exactly where that was coming from and what those radio waves were. So they're saying that it looks like back in the 1920s, something heard our radio waves or was able to detect it and sent something exactly on our ecliptic plane directly towards us to come check us out.
Resolve the object's structure. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter carries the HiRISE camera, one of the most powerful imaging systems ever sent to another planet. This high-resolution imaging science experiment will capture 3I Atlas with unprecedented detail. The HiRISE camera will image 3I Atlas with a resolution of 30 kilometers per pixel. This level of detail is crucial because it will allow scientists to separate the contributions of the solid nucleus from the surrounding gas and dust coma.
Guess what? This is important, guys. Remember what I said. Right about the time that that camera that's orbiting Mars was about to take pictures of it is when they shut down the website, which would have shown the images. Clear images of what this object is. So right at the time, now remember, NASA's not shut down, the government's shut down, but they funneled even more money into NASA to make sure that they would continue to research 3I Atlas. And right around the time that they were supposed to start taking high resolution images and put them on this website for us to see, this website shut down, even though NASA is not shut down. Why would they do that? Well, if we see over here, a civilian did take a video or a picture of it, and guess what the shape is? It's a triangle, guys. It is absolutely not the shape that we think it is. It is a apparent triangle shape. Now, NASA tells us that it is a round elliptical shape, like the shape of an egg, like every single other asteroid that we find. But as we can see, when they shut down and say, sorry guys, we don't have any images for you at all, and we're not going to have any images for you of this thing, even though we have high resolution camera orbiting Mars that's going to be taking pictures of it yesterday, October 3rd, that website shut down. But then recently, in the last couple days, while it did orbit Mars, somebody was able to take a low resolution video or picture of it, and the apparent shape is a triangle.
3I Atlas. 2I Borisov, discovered in 2019, exhibited all the characteristics we expect from a natural comet. It showed water-rich composition, the expected iron-nickel correlation found in solar system objects, and typical dust production patterns. Solar system comets consistently show water dominance, comprising 80 to 90% of their volatile content. They display iron and nickel together, as both elements are co-produced in supernova explosions, creating the chemical signatures we observe. This spectroscopic data from Comet 103P Hartley 2 shows the typical iron and nickel signatures we expect. Notice how both Fe1 and Ni1 lines appear together, confirming their common supernova origin. 3I Atlas breaks every rule. Its composition is 95% carbon dioxide instead of water. Most remarkably, it shows nickel without iron, a signature that matches industrial nickel refining processes rather than natural comet formation. This visualization shows 3I Atlas with its characteristic bright emissions. Unlike typical comets with prominent dust tails, this object shows a more diffuse, gas-dominated outflow pattern. The contrasts are striking. Where normal objects show water dominance and iron-nickel correlations, 3I Atlas displays carbon dioxide dominance and isolated nickel signatures, patterns that challenge our understanding of natural comet formation. The statistical picture is clear. Both 2I, Borisov, and solar system comets show 100% conventional chemical signatures. 3I Atlas shows 0% conventional patterns, making it a true outlier in our cosmic catalog. This comparative analysis reveals that 3I Atlas stands alone among known objects. Its chemical signatures, composition ratios, and physical behavior patterns have no precedent in our observations of either interstellar or solar system bodies.
This thing is absolutely nothing like anything we've ever seen. Now, pay attention. Nickel without iron. Let's go back here. I want to read something to you. Now, this person who's researching all the data says this about the composition for nickel. You look at what's actually in the gas, it gets worse. We're seeing pure atomic nickel steaming off. It's happening at temperatures where it should be frozen solid. So number one thing that we observe about its composition, that it is pure nickel with no iron. Almost every other comet, every single comet we ever find is nickel with iron. And this nickel is steaming off at temperatures where nickel should be frozen solid. So somehow this nickel at temperatures where nickel is usually frozen solid is now steaming off, where it looks like it almost like it does whenever we burn nickel at 10,000 degrees. This isn't gradual. like ice turning it to vapor, it's a switch. The nickel production is insanely sensitive to sunlight. A tiny change in heat and it just shuts off. So they're observing that this nickel is steaming off and then it immediately shuts off and then it starts again and then shuts off again. This nickel production is insanely sensitive to sunlight. Again, a tiny change in heat and it just shuts off. There's only one way you get that, a breakdown of a parent molecule. The only option is nickel tetracarbonyl, something we use in industrial refining. It explains everything, especially why there's no iron, but it is not a naturally occurring compound. What the hell is a synthetic chemical doing on a rock which we think has been in space for billions of years? What he's talking about is this thing is shedding nickel tetracarbonyl, which is something that you can only produce artificially. It doesn't occur naturally anywhere in the universe or on Earth. So this thing is made out of something that was created by some intelligent species.
Atlas approximately 1 million times more massive. This mass difference creates a fundamental statistical problem. Interstellar objects follow a size distribution where smaller objects are exponentially more common than larger ones. The mathematical reality is stark. If 3I Atlas is simply a random rock on an interstellar trajectory, we should have detected approximately 1 million objects the size of 2I Borisov before encountering something this large. This statistical anomaly suggests we are witnessing something extraordinary. The trajectory of 3I Atlas through our solar system represents either an incredibly rare natural occurrence or something that doesn't follow the expected random distribution of interstellar debris.
What is she saying? She's saying that the distribution of objects in space, we should have seen 1 million objects the size of Boris, which is a couple kilometers across, 1 million of them, before we even get a chance to see something that hasn't been broken up through its space travel, like 3I Atlas, which is 43 kilometers across. Statistically, the chances of us seeing this thing right now is 0.00001% chance. Statistically impossible that we're seeing this. It's on a trajectory that is statistically impossible. It is made of a compound that is only artificially made by humans or by any intelligent civilization. It is not naturally occurring. It is going faster than anything we've seen. It is on a trajectory that looks like it's heading straight for us, like it's observing us. These things are absolutely in combination very, very incredible. Like I said, I will leave, I'm not done yet. We have one more thing, but I will leave the scientist breakdown where he breaks down exactly what he thinks is going on with this. I'll leave the video, but we have one more thing to take a look at, guys.
Dual perspective. The object's unusual characteristics could be explained by two fundamentally different scenarios. The first perspective considers 3I Atlas as an exotic natural phenomenon. Under this interpretation, the object represents an extreme example of natural processes we don't yet fully understand. This natural explanation suggests that rare stellar processes or unusual chemical formations in interstellar space could produce the observed signatures. Perhaps unknown mechanisms in distant star systems create materials with properties we've never encountered before. The second perspective considers the possibility that 3I Atlas could be a technological artifact, an object of artificial origin created by an advanced civilization. Under this technological interpretation, the industrial signatures like nickel without iron, the engineered-looking trajectory, and the artificial composition patterns suggest deliberate design rather than natural formation. Both perspectives are supported by the same observational evidence, but they lead to dramatically different conclusions about the nature of our visitor.
Now, I'll leave the links for you guys. You guys tell me what you think about this, and let me know. Take a look at this. Look at this. This is what's flying towards us, but NASA has shut down their website, so we will never see what this is. And it's coming towards us as we speak. Let me know what you guys think. And if I have any updates, I'll keep updating. So please subscribe if you like these type of videos. I will be posting videos like this all the time. So if you enjoyed this, subscribe. I'll be back with more. Talk to you later.